station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Sports Bash presented by TicketBash.com, where you will never pay a service fee. Sports Bash is also being brought to you by the Embassy Diner, located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. Mention Sports Bash when you go in there, and you'll get a free dessert. Also being brought to you by the offices of Dr. Anthony Ippolito at Chiropractic Care Plus, located at 1 John Street in Babylon. Chiropractic Care Plus is the only choice when you're searching for a Long Island chiropractor. So give Dr. Ippolito a call at 631-669-6221. And our good friend Gary over at Bearcat Billing Service, they are your trusted partner in medical billing. Experience the Bearcat way. It's personal, professional, and all of their projects are tailored to your specific needs. So give Gary a call at 516-796-2400 and tell him Sports Bash sent you. And by our official charity, the Marty Lyons Foundation. And when you go to martylyonsfoundation.org, look for a bunch of their sponsors, because a portion of the proceeds will go back to the Marty Lyons Foundation. And by our friends at Collaborate Studios, a content marketing production facility. For more information, call them at 516-509-8277. My name is Vinny Tickets. I'm joined in the studio by Wiz. Today is Free Ticket Friday, and the back end of the show will be giving away 2 tickets to James Taylor at Jones Beach. And we'll take a look at the Sports Bash media poll question. And to get started today, we have a very special guest in the studio. We have attorney Anthony Falcone. Anthony's been a lawyer for 14 years, specializing in elder law, trust and estate planning. Any of those needs, you need to reach out to Anthony. Before we bring in Anthony, we did want to mention some really terrible news that happened in the sports world. Last night, Matthew and Johnny Gaudreau. Gaudreau played for the Columbus Blue Jackets, 7-time All-Star. Both of them were killed in a drunk driving accident. They were riding their bicycles, right?
Yeah, they were riding their bicycles last night around 8:30 roughly.
Yeah. And we were talking on the pre-show, and we were saying, it's just, life is just so fragile. We were talking about that, and it's just, and it can be very tumultuous at times as well. But this should really put things in perspective for a lot of people. So when you wake up today, you have a backache, your leg hurts, your car didn't start. Here's a 31-year-old kid who literally had everything in the world, had everything. And when you say he had everything, was he happy? Well, we don't know. But he probably did not have. He was doing a job that I'm sure he absolutely loved. So to all the friends and family of the Gaudreau family, we want to send our condolences here from Sports Bash. And when we talk about these professional athletes, the reason we had Anthony here today, when we talk about these athletes, we always talk about the planning, like, have they planned for their life? Have they planned for their future? And life is a lot about planning. And, you see a tragedy like this happening, you just hope that he had his planning in place and his ducks were in a row. We think about a guy like a Terrell Owens, Terrell Owens, had a storied NFL career, made over $80 million. His current net worth is $500,000. Poor planning, right? Number one. Number two, and no direction, no protection of his assets. We also spoke on the pre-show about Antoine Walker, right? Mm-hmm. Who made over $100 million. Can you imagine that? $100 million. And his net worth now is zero. He has lost everything. He played with the Celtics. He had a very storied career. He actually had to file Chapter 7. So when we talk about that, and before I get started with Anthony, one thing that I would like to mention about Mr. Falcone is that he is a 13-year veteran of the Navy, left the Navy as a chief officer. Is that
Petty
correct?
officer, right?
Chief Petty Officer, E7 rank.
Yes.
So before we even start with anything, I'm an American guy. I love my country. And I just want to say thank you for your service. And
My honor. Thank you.
yeah, thank you very much for that. So when we talk about your company, we spoke, you've been a lawyer now for how many years?
19, actually.
19 years. And I actually had the honor and the pleasure of doing some work with you as well, which was impeccable, very, very good work, immaculate documentation, quick, efficient, and reasonable. So when we talk about these athletes, Anthony, we talk about an Antoine Walker, we talk about a Terrell Owens. So I know you do a lot of work with trust and estate planning. Explain to us, when we hear about these Medicaid situations where we want the elderly to protect their assets, explain what that is.
Well, clearly a sports figure with millions of dollars is probably never going to worry about Medicaid because really the way Medicaid is designed is for the very, very poor. And the very, very wealthy will never need Medicaid. But it's a very large percentage, about 70% of the population that's somewhere in the middle. And that's who I protect. So the assets that come into play may seem like a lot to a lot of people, but they can be very quickly spent. And Medicaid is long-term care insurance that never ends and pays, but you have to be financially eligible to get it.
So when you say financially eligible, are there certain criteria that somebody has to meet?
Yes, you have to have less than $31,175 of assets. They also, while they don't count your home initially, they do put a lien. They're one of the few government agencies that actually adds up their bill while you're using it. And then they give it to your spouse or your children after you die and say, now you got to pay us back. And that's what our trusts protect from. They allow you to place your assets into a special protective trust so that when you pass, if your spouse or parent was on Medicaid in a nursing home or using a home health aid, and they come running to get, to collect, the answer is, sorry, it's all in a trust, and they walk away upset.
Yeah. And is there a time frame that those assets have to be in the trust in order for them to be protected?
It depends on the type of Medicaid that you want. If you need home care Medicaid currently, there is no look back period is what it's called. When you transfer your assets into a trust, there's a clock that starts ticking. For a home care community Medicaid, it's approximately 1 month. So if I transfer my house this month, next month, it's off the table for home care. For nursing home care, however, that's a much longer period. It's 5 years.
Okay. And when we talk about, we talk about trust and estate planning, is that the exclusive part of your estate planning, or is there more to it? So I know that you do have some Hollywood celebrities on your client list, some athletes that you do consulting with. So when we talk about that, these people with the higher net worths, are those people that you could assist, and how?
Well, there are a number of different trusts and corporations and LLCs and different ways that we can protect the wealthier clients that we have. Trusts are the key because you could literally make your own rules with a trust. So, for instance, if you have a trust and you want to leave money to your grandchild, although the state says 18, you're a minor under 18 and you're an adult after 18. You could choose differently. You could say that I want my money to go to my child after 25. I'm saying you're a minor when you're 24. You pick and choose the rules that you want in your own trust. They also protect for estate tax purposes, especially the very wealthy. There are a number of different trusts. For instance, life insurance. Lots of wealthy people have a lot of life insurance. A lot of people don't know there are special trusts that will take the value of your life insurance out of your estate after you die for estate tax purposes.
Very good. And Anthony, with 30 seconds to go, for the people that need planning, why don't you tell them how to get in touch with you? Tell them, just give us, we have 30 seconds. So tell us what your specialties are, You have 20 seconds to tell them and then 10 seconds to tell them how to get in touch with you.
Well, we have planning for all people to protect their assets, powers of attorney, healthcare proxies, wills, and trusts that'll protect you for whatever your concerns are, whether they be estate tax or they be Medicaid purposes. And
How do we get in touch with you?
we're located at 150 Motor Parkway, 4th floor, Suite 401 in Hauppauge. Our number is 631-607-4529.
Website?
www.falconeattorney.com. That's www.falconeattorney.com.
Thank you very much. Anthony, it was a pleasure having you on the show. We have a lot to come up. Stay with us through the break. We're going to remain live for all of our people streaming. We have a lot to cover on the back end. We'll be giving away some James Taylor tickets, Sports Flash, and the poll question of the day. So stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Peter Schwartz.
And I'm Vinny Tickets.
We want to take a moment to talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Embassy Diner.
Embassy Diner has been a beloved staple in the restaurant industry for over 50 years. And the great thing about it is when you walk through the door, you're not a customer, you are family. Every visit promises to be filled with warmth, love, and respect.
And here's an extra treat. If you mention Sports Bash during your visit, you enjoy a free dessert on the Embassy Diner.
Come on down to the Embassy Diner, where great food and great company are always on the menu.
Visit the Embassy Diner located at 4280 Hempstead Turnpike in Bethpage.
For our live streaming listeners, we are back in the studio. And Wiz, I know that we are going to do the Sports Bash Flash when our radio listeners get back. Yesterday, we have our company group chat, and we were, I think Chris actually sent it out, where some of the pictures, where was that from?
Well, the Texas Rangers played against the Chicago White Sox in guaranteed rate field in the South Side of Chicago. And what's crazy about this is a reigning World Series championship team on the road. So you'd think there'd be some extra people, but no. The White Sox are just so bad, no one cared.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it looked like there were less than 100 people there, right?
Yeah, honestly, I'd go. I'd go probably because the tickets are dirt cheap. I mean, you handle tickets. Have you seen what the tickets for the White Sox are?
Yeah, $1 each.
Really?
Yes, about there.
Oh my
We're
God.
going to welcome back our radio listeners right now. So here come our radio listeners. We have a lot to cover here on the back end. First, we're going to cover the Sports Bash Flash, and it's being brought to you by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage, where every customer is considered family. Mention Sports Bash and get a free dessert. We're going to start in Arizona, where the Mets defeated the Diamondbacks in the final game of their series by a score of 3-2, a win they desperately needed. Tonight's the Mets open up a series with the White Sox in Chicago. First pitch is at 8:10 p.m. And Wiz and I were talking earlier, and I have to agree with you that with the White Sox, it's an absolute mandatory
Sweep.
They have to do it.
You have to sweep them. They're actually close to having the most amount of losses in modern MLB history. That's how awful they are.
Yeah, that's just crazy. The Yankees were off yesterday, and tonight the Bombers will open up a series with the Cardinals at Yankee Stadium. First pitch will be 7:05 p.m. And just as we predicted, we never got a chance to look at what the line was of this game. I was interested to see just what they had. But college football, Rutgers destroyed Howard by a score of 44-7. And in the WNBA tonight, the Liberty take on the Storm in Seattle. Tip-off is at 10 p.m. Today is Free Ticket Friday, and we're giving away 2 tickets to James Taylor tomorrow night at Jones Beach. We are going to take the third caller onto our phone lines for those James Taylor tickets. That phone number to call would be 451-1039. For 2 James Taylor tickets, free ticket Friday. Call 631-451-1039. And now it's time for the Sports Bash Media poll question of the day. What we do is we post a new poll question every day on Sports Bash Media, X, and Twitter page. But for starters, let's look at Thursday's question. And the results are in for Thursday's question, which Wiz will give us the results of Thursday's question.
That's right. Last night, the poll was taken about Abdul Salam. Should he be in the Jets Ring of Honor? And it was a close one, but they said yes, and I'd have to agree. I don't understand why it wasn't more. Abdul Salam is the final piece of the New York Stock Exchange that's not in the Jets Ring of Honor. He should be in already. Absolutely. And Woody Johnson has to get it done.
I agree. And I think we had a great show talking about the SAC exchange. I know Peter was happy to rock his good old number 73. So he was happy about that. And yeah, and I'd have to agree with that. The majority of the people did say, yes, he should be in the Ring of Honor. Now let's cover today's question, which is something near and dear to Dad's heart. That would be your dad.
Yeah.
Right. Being a lifelong Giant fan like he is. So will Daniel Jones, this be the final season for Daniel Jones with the Giants?
I'd be shocked if it isn't, honestly, because the playoff year in 2022 almost seemed like an aberration because he was healthy that year. Last year, he tore his ACL, and he didn't play for most of the season. Now it's a make it or break it year for them. The Giants are not expected to be that great, so I would not be shocked if Daniel Jones is gone this year and they take a quarterback in the 2025 NFL draft.
Right. So if they do that, then, I mean, wouldn't it be better to have a seasoned veteran? Well, I wouldn't say seasoned veteran, but to have somebody with a lot of experience in the NFL to stay for another year and work with them, or maybe they bring somebody else in to work with that rookie.
Well, right now they have Drew Lock on the roster, and don't forget they still have Tommy DeVito. So there could be a real chance that Jones just gets benched for either of them, and they can keep any of the other two as backups because Jones is still making a lot of money from the contract he got a couple of years ago.
Yeah, maybe I'm prejudiced, but Tommy Cutlets, I got to tell you, when I see him in the game, I think he plays well.
He plays really well. I think he's better than Drew Lock personally.
Yeah, is he the number 2 now and Lock?
No. From my understanding, it's Jones, then Lock, then DeVito. But DeVito's the fan favorite, but I would not be shocked if we see all 3 of them start this year. Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting year for them. Do you have a prediction on the Giants' record for the year?
Last place in the NFC East, 6-11 record.
Ooh, wow. I guess Dad's not going to be happy about that one.
He's not expecting to be that good either. He'll tell you the exact same record that I did. If anything, I think I might be a little bit too high. For all I know, they might have only 4 wins. And I feel bad for Brian Daboll too, because I do think he is a good coach, but he just doesn't have a great of a roster to work around. But, it happens sometimes.
What do you think they need the most?
Well, one, they need offensive line help. That's been the issue for the Giants for over a decade. My dad has been screaming about it over and over again. They need offensive line help, and Andrew Thomas is nice, but you still need some help on the interior. I also think for the Giants, quarterback, like I just said. Daniel Jones is there, but, he's not Eli Manning. He's not Phil Simms. He's not Charlie Connerly. You need someone that's going to be better to fill in that gap for the signal call. And also, maybe they can add another wide receiver to the mix. Why not? Give him another person to throw to. I'd say so. So those are some choices, mostly on the offensive side.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you with that offensive line. And in fairness to Jones, he's never had the protection that a quarterback needs. It's very difficult, and you almost get shell shocked. And you could watch him play the game, and when he plays the game, you watch him. He's very hesitant. He's not quick on his feet. It's almost like he's nervous when he's back in the pocket. But so this weekend, we have a lot of college sports going on. We have the U.S. Open going on. We're going to cover a lot of that next week. We'll cover the Yankees. We'll cover the Mets. We're going to also give you some previews as to the first week of the NFL, some big matchups to watch, right, for the Jets, the Giants, and whatever else is going on in the NFL. But for right now, let's go over to Wiz for this day in sports history.
Okay, on this day in 1997, the Houston Comets won the first ever WNBA championship. Back then, it was only just one game, defeating the New York Liberty by a score.
Two teams, right?
Yes, beating the New York Liberty by a score of 65-51. It was a first of 4 for the Houston Comets, so 4 straight WNBA championships, and Cynthia Cooper's first of 4 straight WNBA Finals MVPs. Truly, truly remarkable. Also, a first of 4 for Van Chancellor, also a Hall of Famer. And even though the Comets are no longer around, they folded in 2008. They were the WNBA's first ever dynasty. And that's something we need to really look at. And not only that, WNBA women's basketball is bigger than it's ever been before. And I give in large part to this Comets team for really getting the ball rolling.
What about Caitlin Clark? You don't give any of that credit to Caitlin?
Well, yeah, but she didn't start she wasn't part of the starting part of the WNBA.
No, I understand the original part, but I'm saying now the popularity and the billions of dollars in contracts that are not coming in. I mean, it's really she's turned the sport around. But
absolutely. But you would not have a Caitlin Clark if you didn't have a Cynthia Cooper or Cheryl Swoops or, Teresa Witherspoon, Maya Moore, so many other great WNBA legends that came before her. They set the groundwork for her, and she'd be the first one to tell you that.
Yeah, I would have to go with you on that. So for college football tomorrow, any marquee games that you're going to be watching?
I'm actually not much of a college football guy, but at the same time, I am very, very excited for this season because they expanded the playoffs. I was so happy for that. I've been pushing for that and wanting that for years. Now all the main New Year's 6 bowl games matter. I'm really, really excited. Also, I want to see some new matchups, and I'm also excited what it's going to be like for Alabama post Nick Saban. I'm really excited for that too.
Well, as long as the Volunteers beat them, I really don't mind. I just go Vols. So that's going to do it for this episode. Next week, like I said, we'll be covering the NFL. We'll be covering the Jets, the Giants. We'll cover what took place over the weekend. We'll have a lot of U.S. Open action. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports Bash, presented by TicketBash.com. We want to thank Anthony Falcone for being on our show. We are sponsored by the Embassy Diner in Bethpage. Don't forget, when you stop in there, see our buddy Gus and use the word Sports Bash to get a free dessert. It's also being brought to you by Chiropractic Care Plus in Babylon. From what I've heard, I haven't been to them. Know many people that have. Fantastic service by Bearcat Billing Service, the Marty Lyons Foundation, and Collaborate Studios. For our entire crew here, I'm Vinny Tickets with Wiz, our special guest, Anthony Falcone. That'll do it today. Thank you to Sebastiano behind the glass, Chris on video,